Hey, welcome back. This video is for week 4, activity 2 on the half angle formulas for tangent. And there are 3 different formulas to choose from. You can see those 3 different formulas all gathered together on page 651. Again, there's 3 choices. I'm going to kind of walk you through a little bit of all of the 3 choices. All right, first off, tangent 75. Well, 75, for once again, is not one of the ones on this particular list. So we're going to try to find a way to make a 75 into one of those numbers. And again, that means it's half of 150. 75 is half of 150. So you can see we're going to be using the alpha equals 150 on this particular problem. So formula number 1, you can see, is already filled out here. We got plus or minus square root 1 minus cosine 150 over 1 plus cosine 150. And that looks disgusting. I don't really want to do it this way. It'll work. You can absolutely find it this way. But the first thing I'd have to do is figure out which one of these works. So I'd have to go back and figure out what tangent is in quadrant 1. So if you look down here, you can see tangent is sine divided by cosine. And in quadrant 1, it looks like sine and cosine are both positive. So divide a positive by a positive, I'm going to get a positive. So I already know that this is going to be the positive version of this answer. And then I can start filling things in. Cosine at 150. Well, here's 150, and there's the cosine, negative square root 3 over 2. So this, you can see, is going to get a bit ugly. All inside of that one big square root. So I think I'm going to pass on finishing out that particular formula. And let's try the different one. There's 2 other ones, a little bit easier. They don't have that big giant square root. We don't have to figure out what quadrant it's in and whether tangent is positive or negative in that quadrant. We just plug and chug. So if I'm doing this one, again, we just found out a minute ago that the cosine at 150 is negative square root 3 over 2. And if I go back and do sine at 150, you can see that that's 1/2. So not pretty, but we could do some work. First thing I would do in this one is I would clean up that numerator into one term by finding a common denominator. Remember that 1 is just a 1 over 1. So common denominator would then be a 2. So I could easily turn a 1 over 1 into a 2 over 2. That way I get common denominators, and if I add those numerators, I'll get 2 plus square root 3, common denominator 2, and then all over 1/2. Well, I'm going to now do the whole keep, change, flip thing. So I'm going to keep the top fraction the same, change to multiply, and flip that bottom fraction. Now I multiply across. It's like FOIL. I got a binomial times a monomial, so 2 times 2, and 2 times square root 3. And then denominator 2 times 1. And now I can split those up or simply divide both parts by 2. So first off, the 4 divided by 2 on the left is the whole number 2. And on the right, those 2's would cancel out, leaving just square root 3. So there is our final answer. All right, but that's not, again, not the only way we could have done it. We could have also done it using a third formula. All right, a lot of the same information, just a little uglier on the work on this one. Sine 150 is 1/2. And then we found out a few minutes ago, cosine negative, or 150 is negative square root 3 over 2. We already kind of know how to get a common denominator for these. Common denominator is 2. It's going to be looking very similar up to a point. And that point's going to be right here. When I do the whole keep, change, flip at this particular stage, I'll keep my first fraction 1/2. And then I flip the second fraction after changing to multiply. And again, the issue here is we've got square roots and denominators. That's going to be a problem. Again, it's going to be treated like FOIL, a monomial times binomial, 2 times 2, and then 2 times negative square root 3. And again, this is where the problem is in this one, is it's not finished. It's ugly. We're going to have to find a common, or a denominator, but it doesn't have a square root in it. So I'm going to times by 4 plus 2 square root 3, and that might have been something that you did not see. And it goes back to the whole, if you are doing FOIL and you do, well, that's terrible, and you do A plus b times a minus b. The middle terms end up canceling out. You get a minus ab and a plus ab. The middle terms cancel and you're just left with a squared minus b squared. I'm using that from Algebra 1 if you remember. So numerator, again, it's going to be like FOIL, monomial times binomial. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 2 square root 3 makes 4 square root 3. And then the denominator. Again, the middle terms are going to cancel, and I'm going to end up with 4 squared, which is 16, and 2 square root 3 squared. Well, 2 squared is 4. Square root 3 squared is 3, and 4 times 3 happens to be 12. And again, that's going to end up giving me a 4. So now I have 8 plus 4 square root 3 over 4. And I'll divide first here, which will give me 2. And then I'll divide here, where the 4's cancel, leaving me a positive square root 3. Same thing I got doing it this way, but this way didn't have any nasty denominators. So the idea is that you have 3 formulas, and you get to pick and choose which one works best. I'm going to say that this one's probably never going to work best. I would go with one of these two. And again, you don't really know which one's going to work better until you try it. So give number 44 a try on your own. I'll say good luck, but send me an email if you need some help, and I'll send you an answer or post another video. Have a great day.